Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Self-Confidence Setting Up for Success workshop brought to you by the Kent State Leadership Center. So to start off, I am your presenter. My name is May Francis. My pronouns are she, her. I'm a fourth year English major, and I'm currently a student leadership consultant in the Leadership Center. So to get started, we're going to connect what we're doing today to our leadership model. What the leadership model is what we follow to uphold our values in the Leadership Center. Along with that, we also have our leadership philosophy and our credo, which you can find on our website, or if you come visit us in person in the Kent State Student Center, room 220, we have those hung up as well. The three components of our leadership model are the intrapersonal, interpersonal, and community aspects. And the one we're going to be focusing on today will be the intrapersonal component. And what that encompasses is self-awareness, personal action, and learning/reasoning. So why are we here today? Being a self-confident person and leader can help shape how you view yourself and how others interpret you. This workshop will offer skills to keep in your back pocket and strategies on how to become an authentic you. A little agenda of what we were going to be doing today is first, we're going to do a little bit of a discussion. Obviously, since we would usually be in person for this, it's going to be a little bit different virtually. So I'll kind of give off answers to the said discussion and we'll go into more detail. Next, we're going to do self-confidence and authenticity, how they go hand in hand, and why to embrace your you. Third is going to be our activity. So a letter to yourself. What are you proud of? And then the last one is the strategies. Leave with skills and better understanding of yourself as a leader. Oops. So the first one is our discussion. So do you believe you are a confident student/leader? And where have you seen yourself show these aspects? So go ahead and take like a couple seconds to think about it. So obviously, like I said, if we were in person, we would be having discussion right now, but I'll just kind of jump right into it. So do you believe you are a confident student/leader? For myself personally, I do believe I am a confident student and student leader. And in these aspects, I have seen it in different positions that I've held. It has carried over into how I carry myself in the classroom, when I'm outside of the classroom, at my work. A lot of it is kind of a trickle effect. And I've been very lucky to serve in a numerous settings of different positions and kind of have different experiences every time and see how that has impacted me and how that helps me find who I am and my confidence. So going off of that, a couple leadership traits that I found to be the most prominent and that can be the most impactful as a student or a student leader. So the first one is humility. The willing to admit you're not perfect and letting others see and appreciate that. I think as leaders and as students, we try to be this perfect person and we have to be active on campus and we have to get the good grades and we have to have a good balance of social and academics. And sometimes it's just not that easy. And I think it's very important to know for ourselves and even like just ourselves is that that's okay that if you can't do everything. And I think it's also important to have people around you who understand that and that appreciate you for who you are. The next one is going to go off trustworthiness, which is people's trust you when your attitudes, words, and motives align with what you actually choose to do. And then I'm kind of going to go into the next one, which is the authenticity of it, which be yourself and act in line with your core values and personality. And I think those two kind of go hand in hand because if you are being your authentic self, people are going to want to work with you. People are going to want to be friends with you and trust you in the roles that you do and the friendships and inside and outside of the classroom. So I think that's a very, very big part that kind of do go hand in hand. And we're going to go more into that authenticity aspect later on. The next one is going to be assertiveness. So be upfront about your needs, concerns, and opinions. In a lot of roles, in a lot of places, you might not feel welcome in that space to stand up for yourself, which it can be very difficult, especially if you are new to a role or you don't know your peers you're working with. It can be hard to bring up those concerns and any conflict that there may be. But I think it's important to understand the values that you hold that kind of goes with that authenticity aspect, that if it's not something you agree with and you think it's affecting a lot of people, make it heard, let that person know because they might not even know they're doing it in the first place. So definitely getting your needs and concerns across because you're just as valued as anybody else there. The next one is going to be sense of humor, which is your ability to make people laugh, can help others feel comfortable and relieve tense situations. I think this is one that's kind of underlooked a lot just because it's like, oh, a sense of humor. But that's so important in making people feel like they belong. And I think even in tense situations, when you can have that moment to just kind of joke about it afterwards or even during it, then that can help relieve a lot of tension and make people feel more welcome in the space. And then last is passion. So have the drive to succeed. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm trying to move myself. Have the drive to succeed and be involved. In this aspect, I think if you're not driven by passion, then what are you doing? I think that's such an important piece that we kind of forget a lot of the time is that, oh, yes, we're here, but why are we here? And that kind of goes on with finding your you and who you are. So the next thing we're going to go into is the self-confidence and authenticity aspect. And I found a quote that reads, "With confidence, you have won before you have started." And that is such a big piece, I think, especially if you are a student leader coming into different roles. If you're going in feeling like the most authentic you, ready to present yourself to other people around you, you're already 10 steps ahead of the next person. So keeping that feeling for yourself and letting that shine to show others. So we're going to watch a video from Ivan Joseph, which is 5 keys to self-confidence.
The easiest way to build self-confidence. There's no magic button. Repetition, repetition, repetition. I did my speech, and I practiced in front of the mirror. Hey, I'm sounding good. And then I read in front of my kids. And then I get in front of Glenn Gould. Oh my goodness, I'm a little more nervous. By the time I get to the ACG, I won't have a single ounce of nervousness because of my ability to practice. How many of us bail after the first bit of failure? And J.K. Rowling, you know how many publishers she took her Harry Potter book to? I believe the number was 12 or 13. I mean, 12 times somebody said no. Maybe it shouldn't be repetition. Maybe the answer should be persistence. So that's one way to build self-confidence. The other one is self-talk. We all have a self-talk tape that plays in our head. If you're a woman, the first thing that always comes, damn, I look fat in these pants. And if you're a man, it's the opposite. Oh God, I have no muscle, I'm so flabby. We need to get our own self-affirmations. Muhammad Ali, what was his self-affirmation? I am the greatest. Who else is going to tell you? We need to reaffirm, I am the captain of my ship and the master of my fate. How do you build self-confidence? Get away from the people who will tear you down. There's enough of that because I make enough mistakes and people around me will recognize it and they'll tear me down. And pretty soon I'll begin to believe it. There was a time when my confidence was really low. I had to bring out my self-confidence letter. Ivan, congratulations on getting your PhD before 40. Good job on raising 3 good kids and marrying the right woman. If you'll watch, you'll see some athletes, they'll have a little bandage or a little brand around them. Lance Armstrong's a perfect one. Live strong. He would move that from one arm to the next arm when doubt and fear came into his mind. We are coaches and educators. We are teachers. We are people who will create value in the world. I am a coach. I want you to score a goal. Ball went over high. Dang it, the ball went high. Thank you, coach, I know that. Ignore what Johnny does wrong and find Bob or Sally or Frida over here. Great goal, Frida. I loved how you kept your knee low. You followed through. Great job. Johnny's not demoralized. His confidence isn't shot. And what I've done is I've built up Frida's. Catch them when they're good. We forget it. It's simple. Last and certainly not least, self-confident people interpret feedback the way they choose to. I asked my son, how was the game? Oh, great. I scored 3 goals. I got 2 assists. I'm like, I did not see him touch the puck. But he has his own perception of how he did. If I could give you one thing to take from this, it is no one will believe in you unless you do. We're supposed to be different, folks. And when people look at us, believe in yourself. Thank you.
Okay. Just waiting for it to load. I really like that talk. When I found it, it originally is like a 14-minute talk, so I highly encourage you to watch it. But those were the main key aspects that I really like. So we're going to go over those a little bit. So the first one is repetition. Practice and persist no matter what. And he kind of linked it with repetition, or could it be just persistent? I think if you are persistent in what you do and how you hold yourself, people are going to understand that and people are going to feed off of that. So I think that's a big part. The next one is build others' confidence. So build other people's confidence by focusing on what they did well. When he's giving the example of playing soccer and you're not putting the other person down, you're lifting the other person up, and the person you weren't bringing down was not affected, if that makes sense. So just building up the confidence, and also in terms of making others feel good. I think when you are able to give that feedback and able to give that encouragement to others, not only does it make them feel good, it makes you feel good because you can see the effect that has on them. The next one is going to be self-talk, which I think is one of the most important ones that he spoke about. Was talk positively to yourself. Remind yourself of why you are awesome. A big part of having self-confidence is how you feel in general, just in you. It doesn't really matter what people around you see. It's more of how you interpret yourself. So if you think you did a bad job at one thing, but you are encouraging yourself and you say, okay, this is just one time that I didn't do the greatest, but I can try again next time. And just giving yourself that grace. And I think just keeping yourself grounded is a big, big part of it as well. The next one is the support system aspect. So get away from the people who won't support you, which I feel like is easier said than done, because sometimes you get in relationships that before they might have been supportive and they might have been good, but then as you started to get older or things started to change, they kind of push you away, or that might feel a little resentment of when you are succeeded and maybe they aren't doing the same thing. So I think a big part of it is trying to find that balance of who's going to be there for you in all aspects and who's going to support you and who's going to be able to be openly honest with you. I think in some sense that yes, it's good to have that support, but also are they willing to call you out if there's something that might not line up with your usual morals, and how to go from there and how to take that feedback, which kind of goes into the next one, is focus on what you did / do well and how self-confident people interpret feedback. I feel like that does go hand in hand with that support system, because yes, for yourself, you can interpret that feedback and focusing on what they said, but that also goes with if your support system said something that you might not even realize is bad or doesn't really match with what you usually do, and they give that to you, how are you going to interpret that? So keeping kind of a constructive mindset as well, I feel like is part of self-confidence, especially with that feedback aspect. So next, we're going to kind of go into how to curate your leadership confidence. So we have those 5 keys. You can build off that, but what are some other aspects that can really help you in terms of leadership? So the first one is develop realistic self-awareness. Knowing your strengths will give you confidence, and understanding your areas of work will help create a well-rounded leader. I think self-awareness is such a big part of knowing who you are, especially when you're going into future positions or anything truly, is that you have to know what you're good at, but also how you can work from the things you aren't that good at, how to build that up and how to make that most beneficial for yourself and those around you. The next one is emotional intelligence, or EQ, which is the ability to recognize and be aware that emotions can drive our behavior and impact people both positively and negatively. For EQ, it is kind of a loaded topic, I would say, because it can be hard to realize, yes, we have this impact on people, but it might not have the same of what we thought of. So in the terms of positively and negatively, sometimes it's hard to like resonate with ourselves and realize that we might not be doing something that's going to be impactful and have as much influence on everything that we could do. So just being aware that like you as a person reflects a lot on how that's going to impact other people. So making sure what is the reason that you're doing what you're doing, kind of going off your why. And if you get really passionate and you get really confident, is yes, that's good, but could that also have a negative impact? And if it does, how to handle that when that comes to you. The next one I really like is lead from within. If you're lacking in confidence, you are lacking in influence. And there are obviously very different types of leaders. I feel like this kind of resonates more with more extroverted leaders rather than introverted, because they might think, what if I'm not confident in my position? I'm just starting. Am I not going to have an influence on people? But that is not the case. You can go in and you might not feel like you are made for this position, but you really, really wanted to do it. And you might not feel like you belong for a little bit. And that is completely normal. That is fine. You just have to find, where do you feel most you, and what aspects of this position are going to make you feel like you are having that impact, having that influence, and how can you help those who might be just like you, who might be more quiet, and how to really resonate with them. Or flip side, if you are a very extroverted student leader, for myself, I love to be loud and I love to talk. And I feel like I hold myself with a lot of confidence. And that way, others around me who are more quiet, I'm able to kind of pull that out of them, of trying to get themselves to do things that they wouldn't normally do, and talk and present and be more loud than they would normally. So I really think that is an important part. And I think that quote's really good. And then lastly is understand leadership. So the more you know, the more confident you will be. Talk to those around you and figure out your leadership philosophy. Kind of rhymed. But just in general, when you're doing certain roles, what are you doing that for? What audience are you reaching? How can you make sure they get the most out of it? How can you get the most out of it? That yes, you're kind of the behind the scenes person, but how can that help you grow as a leader as well? So the next is an activity. If you would like to do this activity, please do it. I think it's really helpful, and you can kind of save it for yourself for later on. So what this activity is going to be is a letter to yourself. What does your future self need to hear from your present you? So what this is a Dear Future Me letter. So what you're going to write about is, what goals do you hope to achieve? Where do you hope you will be? Are you content with life? Was there growth? You can ignore the bottom half, but I think a big part of it is kind of what you need to hear. Not so much, yes, those are examples I gave and you can go off of that, but I think it's a lot of space and a lot of freedom to kind of see where you are right now, where you want to be in the future, and what you hope to hear from past you. And I think it's going to be really impactful when you're thinking about your leadership, or even just your confidence in general, of what are you hoping to gain, and then where to go from there. So go ahead and take some time if you'd like to do this activity, and then we will move on. You can obviously pause this video and then do it and then come back. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and move on so we're not just sitting in silence for too long. So if you did the activity, thank you. I hope you enjoyed it. Next, we're gonna go into the strategies. So where to apply these skills. So you have those strategies of how to kind of build your leadership traits, and also kind of how to build off of them, and what curating your leadership would look like. So how can you have those in different roles or different positions? So the first one is leadership roles, as I mentioned before. So if you want to be a resident assistant, if you want to be a flash guide, a student success leader, you could be a tour guide, you could be computer transiciones. And on campus are so many different opportunities to kind of apply these self-confidence leadership skills, or just self-confidence in general, which kind of goes into the next one, is your everyday life, workplace, interviews, facilitation. Like I said, for myself, in my everyday life in general, I feel like I carry myself differently because I am self-confident in my skills, in my abilities, in how I view myself. So just making sure that really resonates in the things that you do later on. Different resources we have on campus to help kind of build these is student success programs. So they're located in the Center for Undergraduate Excellence, and they have numerous leadership opportunities for students of all year levels. Like I said before, the student success leader, you can be an intern in that office. If you are a student, first year student, or if you are trying to get started on your leadership journey, you can take the peer leader training course, or you could be a peer leader trainer of the class. So it's peer led. So peers teach other peers. And I think that's a really cool opportunity to kind of see that balance. So that's a really cool opportunity, as well as a flash guide. And then we have the Leadership Center, which offers individual consultants, workshops, and programs for all different students. So we have lessons in leadership, which is our Instagram talks with different student leaders or staff on campus. We have Kent Talks, which brings controversial topics into a space where you can openly talk about your experience. And we also have the Leadership Challenge, which is challenging your different leadership abilities in groups, as well as different workshops, obviously, of what we're doing now. So that is the end of the presentation. I hope you all enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. If you could take a few minutes of your time and scan this QR code on the screen, just to give us some feedback on what you took away from the presentation and maybe what you hope to gain later on. And then also, once you've done that, I'll give you a couple of seconds. We have our newsletters. So we get bi-weekly newsletters. Go ahead and sign up here. We have a bunch of different promotions for our leadership center, but we also plug a bunch of different other organizations on campus as well that has a variety of different opportunities to go to, as well as just fun things, activities. But thank you so much once again. If you have any questions, please follow us on social media, Kent State Leads. And we also have our email and our phone number there. Like I said before, our space in the Leadership Center is open for anybody. If you want to hang out, if you want to eat lunch, if you want to have a consult with some of our leadership consultants, there are 3 of us in the office, or if you just want to stop by and say hi, we were more than welcome to welcome you on our space. Yeah, I'm very excited. I hope you all enjoyed and have a good rest of your day.